Imagine if you were drafted 60th overall in the NBA draft. How would you feel? Well, I don't know about you, but I'd feel ecstatic. Even though no one would really know who you are. You've still just been drafted into the NBA, right? And if you have that confidence and motivation, you could turn out to be a pretty good player. Just look at Isaiah Thomas. But what if you were drafted 11th overall? You'd have moved past just being happy by getting drafted and start thinking stardom. After all, look at some of the players who were drafted 11th. Reggie Miller was drafted 11th, he was a 5-time All-Star. Robert Horry was drafted 11th and he won 7 NBA championships. And Klay Thompson drafted 11th, of course, he has 5 All-Star appearances and 3 rings. So if you were drafted 11th, you'd be dreaming of a successful NBA career, and rightfully so. But how come the 11th pick in the 2005 draft never played in the NBA? Meet Fran Vasquez. Vasquez happens to be one of the 2 people who never played in the NBA despite being lottery picks. The other being Len Bias, who sadly died 2 days after being drafted due to a cocaine overdose. But Vasquez never had any illness or injury problem, so why'd he never make it? Born in Spain in 1983, Vasquez became a basketball prospect by the time he was a teenager. When he was 18, he signed a contract with Spanish club Unicaja, where he had played for 4 years. By 2005, Vasquez had impressed NBA scouts enough, and he declared for the NBA draft. His pick was actually traded quite a few times, one of the trades coming before he even signed with Unicaja. The first and biggest trade was when Orlando moved the pick to Toronto for none other than Tracy McGrady. McGrady and his cousin Vince Carter were playing at the Raptors together in 2000, but since they were similar players, Toronto decided they would have to trade one of them. McGrady would end up signing with the Raptors in that offseason, but then was immediately traded to the Magic for their 2005 first-round pick. 1 year later, the Raptors moved the first-round pick to Detroit in a trade package that saw Tyrone Corbin, Cornell David, and Corliss Williams go along with the pick to Detroit in exchange for Eric Montross and Jerome Williams. But in the end, Detroit would move the pick back to Orlando in a 3-team trade that also included the Rockets. But anyway, back to the 2005 draft. The Magic had just come off a 36-46 season. The team had taken Dwight Howard with the first pick of the season before, and also had other good players on the roster, including Grant Hill, Hedo Turkoglu, and Jameer Nelson. But the team needed another big man to play alongside Dwight Howard, because aside from Dwight, their big guys were pretty weak. With Dwight playing power forward in his rookie year, the team's best 2 centers were Tony Batty and Kelvin Cato, but those guys only averaged 11 points a game combined. So with the Magic needing another big, the plan was to draft either Vasquez or Andrew Bynum, the 7-footer best known for his time with the Lakers. The best center in the draft, Andrew Bogut, went first. Bynum was taken 10th, and the best big man remaining in the draft was Fran Vasquez. So the Magic took him with the 11th pick, and the plan was for Fran to start at power forward while Dwight would move to center. But obviously that didn't happen. Fran announced he would be returning to Europe to develop his game in the EuroLeague for Wimbledon, which isn't the most surprising thing. We've seen European guys like Serge Ibaka and Dario Saric stay in Europe after being drafted. But there's a difference. Ibaka was only in Europe for 1 more year after being drafted. Saric was only there for 2. But Fran Vasquez, he's a little different. He signed a 4-year deal with the Spanish side Corona. This, as his Wikipedia page says, enraged many Magic fans, and I don't blame them. This was supposed to be the year where the Magic took their game to the playoffs, but now their latest draft pick can now confirm he would be playing for another team in another league for the next 4 years. Now, he was allowed to join Orlando during his contract with Corona if he liked, but this interview clearly says he was staying in Spain for the next 4 years. So yeah, the Magic would have to wait 4 years for Vasquez, and wouldn't get him until 2010. In 2006-07, the Magic had another mediocre 40-42 year, but at the end of that year, they fired Brian Hill for Stan Van Gundy. This move would pay off, because led by Dwight Howard, who averaged 20-14 that year, the Magic would go 50-32, and they would make the second round of the playoffs before losing in 5 to the Pistons. The Magic would bounce back, go 59-23 the next year, and make the NBA Finals. Unfortunately, they couldn't get past the Lakers and lost in 5 to them, but this would be okay, because they were still on the rise with a young team, adding the likes of JJ Redick, Courtney Lee, and Martin Gortat to the roster. And it would be the final season before Vasquez's contract was up, and he would join Orlando. The Magic didn't make the finals next season, but still had a great year, going 59-23 again, and made the Eastern Conference Finals, but lost in 6 to Boston. But now the time was up. Fran Vasquez was coming over, ready to play in the NBA, and he was going to help Orlando win a Vasquez had been traded to Barcelona, which is allowed. But now he had signed a 1-year extension deal with Barca. And even though it was 1 more year, it was really the nail in the coffin. Magic fans had already lost all interest in Vasquez, and 1 year in Barca returned to 2 before joining Unicaja in 2012. Vasquez signed a 4-year deal with Unicaja, And when that expired in 2016, Dwight Howard was long gone from Orlando and had signed with Atlanta for the upcoming year. Magic had brought in Serge Ibaka as their star center for that year, and were also developing the games of big men Nikola Vucevic and Aaron Gordon. Everyone knew that Vasquez, now 33, had no NBA future. The Spanishman left Unicaja for Canarias that off-season. He played 2 seasons for Canarias, was traded to Zaragoza, and played 2 years there. He recently announced his retirement on the 7th of May. Right, enough talking about Vasquez's career. Why did he never actually play in the NBA? Firstly, if you think he wasn't skilled enough, you're wrong. He won the Spanish Kings Cup's MVP in 2010. He was part of the Barcelona team that competed for the Spanish Super Cup in 2009, 2010 and 2011. He won the Spanish Kings Cups 4 times in 2005, 2007, 2010 and 2011. He won the EuroLeague with Barca in 2010, and he's the league of all-time blocks in both the EuroLeague and the Liga ACB. I don't care how easy Europe is compared to the NBA, Vasquez would have succeeded in America. Anyway, I checked it out and there could be 3 reasons. Firstly, the obvious one. He was comfortable in Spain and happy with his lifestyle in Europe. And of course this was almost certainly a factor, but there's more. Check out this picture. In the middle it's Fran, but on the right is his girlfriend Anna. According to the manager for the Spanish national team, Manolo Rubio, he was very close to Anna and said, "I recently asked the players on the national team how many tickets they needed for the international games. Everybody said 2, 3, 6, whatever. Fran said, I'll have to ask Anna. He can't even decide how many tickets he wants for himself." Now that would have meant that Anna was extremely close to Fran and probably didn't want to move to the US with him. We also got to look at the man on the left, Jose Cabello. Cabello was Vasquez's agent and would benefit more if Vasquez stayed in Europe. Apparently, if Vasquez is in Orlando, Cabello only makes 10% of Vasquez's earnings. An agent usually gets 10% of a player's earnings, but in America, Cabello has to split the money with Mike Kornstein, Vasquez's American agent. And Kornstein would get 7% of the money, while Cabello would only get 3%. If Vasquez stays in Spain, Kornstein has no control over Vasquez's money, and Cabello makes 10% of the earnings. So with both his girlfriend and the agent he was closer to benefiting more if he stayed in Europe, Vasquez would have made the decision to stay in Spain. But again, as I said, Vasquez just may have been comfortable in Spain. So what do you guys think? Why did Vasquez never come over? And could he have won a ring in the NBA? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching and I will see you next time.